Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the session on building the future, an interactive session between the government and various representatives of the construction equipment sector. To start off today, I'll just like to lay out the agenda and the reason for setting up the session, with which then we'll start off with the agenda. Anshul, if you could please move down a page. So, as we all gather here today, I think it's a fantastic opportunity for us to build the future and build the future together. The government and CE sector collaboration is actually very critical for India's overall growth story. The CE sector, of course, will play a very important role in all of the infrastructure development the government has planned over the next few years. Whether it is roads, where 200 billion worth of roads are to be built, airports with over 200 low-cost airports being planned in the next 20 years, real estate with 100 million houses, the entire smart cities mission, and of course many other sectors, whether it's mining, material handling, industrial construction, etc. The CE sector is very critical to drive development across all of these. And of course that relationship is synergistic because with the government contributing and pumping money to each of these sectors, it will in turn help the CE sector to grow. And what is today a 5 to 6 billion market could very well be a 10, 12 billion market or even larger over the next 5 years. So it was with this thought in mind that we're very happy to have both government representatives and multiple representatives from the CE sector coming together today to talk about how we can build the future together. So just setting the agenda for today, we will start off with an overall welcome to the government representatives and to all the participants from the President of ICEMA, Mr. Sandeep Singh, after which we will then have a set of addresses by our government representatives. Our Honorable Minister for Large and Medium Scale Industries, Government of Karnataka, will give the keynote address in which he will speak about Karnataka's vision for the overall industry and for economic development. That will be followed by Mr. Deepak Bagla, who is the MD and CEO of Invest India, who will then share what the Government of India is planning and doing to encourage local manufacturing ecosystem. This will then be followed by special remarks by the Principal Secretary, Department of Commerce and Industries, Government of Karnataka, Shri Gaurav Gupta, who will speak about the current scenario and also the emerging opportunities in Karnataka, given the new industrial policy that has just been released for the next 5 years. And then after that, we will have the Commissioner Industrial Development, Ms. Gunjan Krishna, who will speak specifically about what Karnataka is doing to encourage domestic scale-up of the CE sector and how hence the government plans to support the sector. Post that, we will open this up to have a panel discussion between the government representatives who have spoken thus far and various ICEMA members. So we will invite 3 of the key ICEMA members to be part of this panel. But this is where we'll also open it up for questions from the larger audience, which can be put into the chat window, and I'll help to moderate and share these with the panelists. And finally, we'll close with concluding remarks from Mr. Krishnan, who's the Vice President of ICEMA. So that's the plan for the day. To start off with, let me hand over to Mr. Sandeep Singh, President of ICEMA, also the MD of Tata Hitachi. And I'll request you, Mr. Singh, to overall set the stage for today and also welcome the government representatives and all the participants. Mr. Singh.
Good evening, Mario. Thank you very much. I would like to thank BCG for organizing this important interaction with Government of Karnataka. Though we have been meeting many of them in many other occasions, but I think this is very, very important event where we can interact with each other. On behalf of ICEMA, it is my pleasure in welcoming the esteemed panel for this important session. First of all, I would like to thank our Honorable Minister Shri Jagdish Chatterjee Minister of Large and Medium Scale Industry, Government of Karnataka. He has been very, very helpful and cooperative to the industry. We have seen huge amount of development in the last few years, especially during COVID-19 time, when he has been personally looking into especially small scale industries, and recently the industry policy which has been announced in government in Karnataka. Mr. Gaurav Gupta, Principal Secretary Industry, congratulations to him. Yesterday, he had been given additional charge of administrator as BBMP. Congratulations, sir. This is a very important position, and construction equipment industry can really work very closely with you in improving the overall hygiene and cleanliness of city and state. Srimati Gunjan Krishna, Commissioner, Industrial Development, Government of Karnataka. Very, very helpful, very proactive, and really very hardworking IAS officer we have seen in Karnataka. And Shri Deepak Bagla, CEO of Invest India. I would also like to welcome my dear colleagues from ICEMA who are participating in this event. As all of us are aware that Karnataka has vibrant automobile, IT, agriculture, aerospace, textile, garment, biotech, and heavy engineering industry. The state has sector-specific SEZs of key industries such as IT, biotechnology, and engineering, food processing, and aerospace. And the beauty here is Karnataka is #1 in most of these SEZs. Karnataka is also a very big manufacturing hub for construction equipment, and many of construction equipment manufacturers have base in Karnataka because it has a vibrant ecosystem of MSME suppliers, our front-end sales network, a labor which is very, very cooperative and hardworking. So very good environment we get in Karnataka for the industry. The state is a leader in infrastructure creation and provides an excellent policy environment to encourage investment. With its focus on attracting investment and developing infrastructure in the state, the government of Karnataka has been taking many steps in the right direction towards a faster revival of Indian economy and more focus on state economy. I would also like to appreciate some recent reforms like Karnataka government, which has announced, they have announced like Karnataka Land Reforms Amendment Ordinance 2020, which is expected to lead to rapid industrialization. The Industrial Policy 2020-25 aimed at development and promotion of, especially the focus has been this time on Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. And I would like to mention that we have seen very, very proactive cooperation from the industry department. Minister himself has been leading. I have been part of some of these meetings and Invest North Karnataka event, which was one of the best event ever organized in Karnataka for attracting investment in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. Now I would like to give brief overview of Indian Construction Equipment Manufacturer Association. We call it ICEMA. ICEMA is an apex national industry body representing more than 70 leading companies that manufacture, trade, and finance a wide range of construction, earth-moving, mining, and mineral processing equipment. Basically, all these equipments are used in developing a robust, world-class infrastructure for the nation. We also have our associates in finance, and many suppliers are part of ICEMA body. So therefore, we integrate ourselves and we are a credible voice between the industry and the government. Indian construction equipment industry with a turnover of USD $6.5 billion, we employ approximately 3 million people directly or indirectly. As all of us are aware, last year 1920 has not been a very good year. Even pre-COVID, we had some issues with regard to declining our industry and economy. And pandemic 19 has brought in further challenges for us. However, in spite of being severely impacted by COVID-19, the Indian steel industry has continuously engaged and supporting the government to fight COVID-19 and rebuilding the economy. Key focus areas of steel industry has been increasing localization and developing a robust domestic supply chain to support government Atmanirbhar Bharat vision. In fact, in the last 1 year, we have had a lot of engagement and meetings with the government, DHI, MORTH, and how we can further enhance localization in our country. Developing new technology in line with safety and emission norms, which is very, very important for the safety of our operators. Skill development through the Infrastructure Equipment Skill Council. We have a special vertical, IESC, which takes care of the skill improvement of our operators and very closely connected with the center government and state government. By way of CSR initiative, the construction equipment sector has been working very closely with the government to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. Many of our companies have supplied face masks, sanitizer, PPEs. We have been working very closely in taking care of migrant labor and also taking care of their logistics. Indian construction equipment sector has potential to become the manufacturing and export hub of the world, provided the right policy, support, and impetus is provided. In fact, I would like to mention most of us are exporting our machinery to other parts of the world, but we have large potential to bring in more investment in advanced technology so that we can bring our products at par with the technical and advancement features in our equipment so that we can not only cater to domestic market in improving the efficiency and productivity of our equipment, but also cater to export market. With this brief, I would like to once again thank the esteemed panel of speakers for their presence in this session. We are looking forward to a very interactive session where we can share our experiences, best practices, and our concerns, and what kind of support we can provide to government, how we can work closely with them. So I now go back to Mario to take the session forward. Thank you very much.
Singh, thank you for those opening remarks and for welcoming all the attendees. We now move over to our keynote address for the day. I would like to welcome the Honorable Minister of Housing, Government of Karnataka, to speak and speak about Karnataka's vision for overall investment and economic growth. I'll request everyone else to speak. We don't mute. There's a bit of
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Mr. Sandeep Singh, President ICEMA, Mr. Dimitra Krishnan, Vice President ICEMA, Mr. Gaurav Gupta, Principal Secretary Commerce and Industries, Srimati Gunjan Krishnan, Commissioner Industry Department, and all the dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, and media person, good evening. It gives me immense pleasure to address this dollar gathering for an interactive session on encouraging domestic scale of Indian construction equipment ecosystem. I am honored and privileged to be with all of you today while speaking about Karnataka's vision for overall industry and economic development. Karnataka is a leading state in India with a strong industrial base. Our gross state domestic product, GSDP, is $201 billion, which is almost the size of Vietnam, and we are growing at a 9.6% per annum. Karnataka accounts for the highest exports among all states in the country with more than $100 billion in value. This accounts for nearly 17.8%, 80% of the country's exports. Since 2016, we have been first in attracting investments into the state. We are also first in NITI Aayog's India Innovation Index and have the largest number of R&D centers in the country. Bengaluru, our capital, is the fourth largest technology cluster in the world, and it is also startup capital of the country and is within the top 3 startup ecosystem globally. Therefore, it is no surprise that more than 400 out of Fortune 500 companies already have a presence in the state. All of this would not have been possible without a well-connected and efficient logistics network. Here, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to highlight that we are the only state in India to have two industrial corridors, the CBIC, Chennai-Bengaluru Industrial Corridor, and BMEC, Bengaluru-Mumbai Economic Corridor. Karnataka is proud to have great connectivity across all transportation mediums, with 13 major national highways passing through the state, 2 international airports, 1 major port in Mangalore. We provide industries with a strong infrastructure network for them to do the business. The logistic is across different states. Score reflects this well, as Karnataka is one of the top ranked states on that index. I had also like to point out that Karnataka is a power surplus state with the highest installed capacity of renewable energy, 13.66 GW in country. We are proud that one of the largest solar parks in the world, with a total capacity of 2050 megawatts at Pavagad, Tumkur. The government is truly committed to support industries, and we understand crucial factors that investors consider before investing in the state. One such important factor is the availability of a skilled labor force, and I am happy to share that Karnataka is placed exceedingly well here. Karnataka is the knowledge capital of the country, and we have the largest workforce at the intersection of advanced manufacturing building blocks such as artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. We are a young state and have more than 20 million people in the age group of 16-35 years, and the government is taking proactive steps to skill the youth. We have set a target to skill 18.8 million youth between 2017-2030 with a robust skilling infrastructure that our state possesses, which include over 7,000 plus training institutes. We are confident that we shall be able to achieve this target. Ladies and gentlemen, what I had to like to also highlight is that over the last few months, we have also simplified our labor laws, through Industry Facilitation Act, Ease of Doing Business, and the Land Reforms Act. These includes providing flexibility in the employment contracts regarding labor laws, longer validity period and auto renewals for licenses, overtime limit per quarter being increased to 125 hours from 75 hours, allowing night shifts for women, and linking minimum wages to factors such as inflation, among many other reforms. We have made not only significant strides in the labor reforms, but also undertook several measures to improve ease of doing business in Karnataka by simplifying processes, setting up a single window for investors, handling grievances in a time-bound manner under Sakala, and engaging in a regular discussions with the industry to create a stable policy-driven environment. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to point out that Facilitation Act that we recently amended, which shall greatly help investors. Hereafter, investor is not required to obtain many approvals, clearances, from different government agencies for a period of 3 years. The moratorium exists for various approvals such as building plan approval, factory plan approval, non-agricultural conversion of land, etc. I think this is a first of its kind in the entire nation. Like that, this very much progressive amendment we did in Karnataka. It is a model to all the states. We have also implemented 100% business reforms action points suggested by DPIIT in 2019 to improve ease of doing business, and we are always keeping a close eye on how we can improve ease of doing business in our state. And also, we want to further improve our offerings to the investors and are proactively taking steps in that direction. And our new industrial policy 2020-2025 also very progressive, and I think new points have added in this industrial policy, and we are stressing on tier 2, tier 3 cities that investors has to shift to, and entire state has to look into. So it is a very much important industrial policy we also declared. Closing with these few words, I once again assure you that our government will always support the industry to create a conducive environment for businesses to prosper. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you. Karnataka has to be for other states, any other model state and progressive state. Next, I would like to invite the MD and CEO of West India, Mr. Deepak Bagla, to speak to us about how the Government of India is taking various initiatives to encourage the local manufacturing ecosystem. Mr. Bagla, welcome. Mr. Bagla, if you're speaking, you may be on mute. We're not able to hear you. Okay. Mr. Bagla may be facing some technical issues, so we can possibly move to the next segment and come back. So just moving forward, we would like to invite Shri Gaurav Gupta, Principal Secretary, Department of Commerce and Industries, Government of Karnataka, to speak to us about the overall current scenario and more specifically on the emerging opportunities in Karnataka through the new industrial policy 2020-25.
Very good afternoon all. It's indeed been a pleasure to interact with all of you. Mr. Sandeep Singh, the President of ICEMA, Honorable Minister, Mr. Jagdish Shettar, esteemed Minister for Large and Medium Scale Industries, Government of Karnataka, Mr. Deepak Bagla, the MD and CEO, and my colleague, Commissioner Industrial Development, Srimati Gunjan Krishna, and also other panelists and participants. Karnataka is one of the leading industrialized economy, and we all have heard from the introductory remarks of Mario from BCG and also Mr. Sandeep Singh, who have talked to you about Karnataka. We would like to mention again or reiterate again the point made by Honorable Minister about the new industrial policy that has been formulated recently, which has been taken up after several interactions with the stakeholders and their views. And what the feedback I am getting is that it has been received very well by the industry.
Mr. Gupta, you have gone on mute, I think, by mistake. Okay. Now we can hear you.
Yeah. So sorry. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Mr. Gupta, we just hear the last 2-3 seconds. Otherwise, you are.
So the industrial policy which has been taken up has been received very well, and one of the very important features there is the feature of production-linked incentives, and the idea being that not only the incentives being offered are substantial, but they are also easy to administer. As compared to tax-based incentives, these incentives which have been now included are turnover-based incentives, and I'm sure that with these kind of progressive policies which have been taken up in consultation with the industry, there would be an ecosystem which will create an inclusive, balanced and sustainable development for the state. And Honorable Minister Sir has also mentioned about the special investment regions that will be created. Overall, our objective has been to maintain the edge of Karnataka as a manufacturing state, as a global manufacturing hub, and we all know about it being the IT hub, but what is important is it's also a manufacturing hub with the kind of industries that have come in here, notably like for example the Tata Hitachi, which the President ICMA himself represents. Also prior to that, Honda and Toyota and also Volvo, these are companies that have been manufacturing here. Also aerospace and number of other sectors have been present here. They are also manufacturing in large numbers and also exporting. So we would like more and more sustainable industrial growth through manufacturing, and also the amalgamation of manufacturing with IT and technology. And that is perhaps the key for Karnataka. We also have taken up several reforms to ensure that it is easy to buy land, and to also easy to take up labor-related compliances, and several ordinances have been issued very recently on this purpose. As regards exports, we are also very conscious about the fact that we don't just need to have a domestic manufacturing hub, but also would like to have manufacturing which is oriented towards exports. And for that reason, our export related interventions and our policies also encourage private participation through the inland container depots and container freight stations, etc., which can be very helpful for the export-based industries. For example, in the auto sector, we have also seen the issue of exports, particularly to Africa and South Africa, which helps a great deal in terms of a slump in the domestic demand. So these are some of the features of the industrial policy, and in respect of the construction equipment sector, I would say the capital goods and machine tool sector is a focus sector within the Karnataka industrial policy. Machine tooling, we have been the center for a very long time. We have state-of-the-art equipment facility at the Central Manufacturing Technology Institute. We are also home to one of the 5 identified foundry clusters in the country. We are also second highest producers of special purpose and heavy electrical machinery in India. And integrated machine tool park, which is being taken up in consultation with the machine tool industry, notably the Indian Machine Tool Manufacturers Association, at Tumkur, about 70 kilometers away from Bangalore. I think that would be a very good step to promote more and more manufacturing to happen in this area. So we would like to request the entire construction industry to take note of these developments, which is relating to the machine tool sector, which is relating to the Industry 4.0 at the amalgamation of AI, IoT and manufacturing, and also the kind of substantial presence of aerospace and auto component manufacturing, which is going on in the state, and take up more and more investments in the area. If you have any kind of such interest, kindly let us know to our representatives, and I'm sure that it will be a win-win situation for both of you and us. Thank you so much.
Mr. Gupta, thank you very much, and congratulations on an extremely progressive industrial policy 2020-20. Next, I'd like to go back to Mr. Deepak Bagla. Sir, welcome, and to again introduce Mr. Bagla, he's the MD and CEO of Invest India. I'll request Mr. Bagla to please speak to the participants on how Government of India is taking various initiatives to encourage local manufacturing ecosystem. Mr. Bagla, over to you.
Thank you, Mario. First, I must apologize. Just ran out of an electric connection, so that's why I had to log out. I mean, I lost the connection. So good to be back. And thank you for doing this. Sandeep, really have to thank ICEMA and your team members, Krishnan and Gar, to be able to organize this for all of us. I think it's very critical. It's a sector which is a core sector, which is a sector which defines not just growth, but also employment. But before all that, let me first congratulate the Honorable Minister. And the Honorable Minister and his entire team, you know, just about a few minutes ago, we've declared the state ranking for startups. And in the category of top performer, we have Karnataka up there. So full kudos to you and your team. And that is the second category which we have in that, for doing an excellent job and making it happen. And Gaurav, congratulations and wish you luck on your new assignment and your the added new assignment and the new challenges which you're picking up. And ma'am, Mrs. Krishna, you're doing, I mean, the kind of feedback which we get from investors about you and your team is exceptional. It really helps us immensely in our efforts to make India as one of the leading destinations for global investment. And there I must congratulate you once again, because as you know, last weekend, we had just declared the ease of doing business rankings of the stakeholders. And that is where is one of the most interesting elements of Indian federalism which comes in. So what had happened when we started this exercise in 2015, we had requested Karnataka, because it is one of the leading industrial states, to pair up Himachal and Uttarakhand. And let me tell you what are the results of that. From 2015 to 2019, Himachal has moved up from 17 to 7. Uttarakhand has moved up from 23 to 11. This is that cooperation, this is that supporting each other, this is that helping each other with the best examples you have, which makes the strength of Indian federalism taking it forward. So thank you very much for sharing your best practices with other states and helping other states also to come up in our entire effort to create India, as I said, as the #1 investment destination. Very quickly, Mario, since you've asked me to just share with you what is happening at the central level on what we are doing. First, a quick statistics. We closed 31st March this year, all of you know, with an FDI of $74 billion. It's the highest ever FDI we've got in our history. More interestingly, close a little over 40% of it is greenfield FDI. So we are now one of the top greenfield FDI destinations in the world. And congratulations to all the state governments and all the teams like we have here with us, which is Gaurav, Mrs. Krishna, and led by the Honorable Minister. These are the teams which is making this huge momentum and positioning India globally. The other interesting thing about that 74 billion, that over 93% of it came in the open route, the automatic route as we call it, which meant that it did not require any specific government approvals, making and positioning India as one of the most open economies on the planet. To play a role in each and every sector of the economy. And there again, the new policies which Gaurav has mentioned, or the new central policies which came out on the electronics, the pharmaceuticals, and the other such efforts are gaining huge momentum. And you know what? We are hearing from the global investor in a significant manner that one thing which they are giving huge credit to the Indian government and our state governments for is that all policy making is happening in a very joint effort basis with a lot of stakeholder feedback. In fact, the number of stakeholder feedbacks which we are having on a daily basis as we are formulating new policies is the hallmark of the new India as we go forward. And that is also what is making these policies so effective. Gaurav mentioned to you about the electronics one. Let me tell you, 31st July, when we close the year for the new applications coming in for electronics, we have virtually every global major in the world which has now applied to be in India. Those are the strengths of the new policies which are coming up. Now, very quickly, in the next 5 minutes, what's happening at the central government level. So before we started this pandemic 170 days ago, India was positioned as the largest market in the world. I mean, we'll be 1.5 billion people by 26, 27. There'll be no other market, at least for the next 100 years, with so many consumers. The fastest growing large economy. Again, I hope to see ourselves coming back to that position very fast. The youngest, 29, will be the youngest with an average age of 29 all the way up to 2080. Very strong arguments, very strong reasons why the global community was looking at us. Now comes the fourth element, which happened because of this pandemic. It brought about the fact that you have to reposition your entire supply chains, the vulnerability of positioning them far from where the market is. And I explained to you, we were the largest market. So now we are seeing a huge rush. And that is where my team is working on, and I have some members here, where we're getting a large number of business interests, where they're positioning to reposition their supply chains, their manufacturing businesses, onshoring it to India, which is what we are looking at. So we had those 3 and 4 pillars, which are very strong. What has happened in these 170 days? What has happened here is that we've had unprecedented reforms, both at the state level and the central level, making India and positioning the new India as one of the places where it is going to be easier to do business. So you have the 4 strong positions, that's why they should come, and this one now makes it very, very strong. Gaurav and Mrs. Krishna would tell you a little more about what is happening there in Karnataka, and they're doing some amazing stuff, but let's see what's happening in the state government. By early next year, we will be ready with a single window. That means that there will be one application, unified application form, one portal they will come to. You will fill that up, and that one single application will be good enough to get all your approvals, which will be from the Government of India. And we are also attaching that to some of the state governments. In the first phase, we'll have 6 to 8 of them, and going forward. So hopefully we will bring it to a point where there'll be one application for all approvals required across the country. That is an amazing, big change, which is now will make it much easier for the investor world. The second is, as you may have already read, the cabinet has notified, there's now an empowered group of secretaries headed by the cabinet secretary. All approvals which require cross-ministerial approvals will go there. This empowered group will take a call on a fast-track basis. We will see that entire approval process shortened, easier, simplified, and far more transparent. That is a big movement which is happening. Let me tell you about 2 others which are happening, and that is on the ease of doing business. Gaurav mentioned about the availability of land, and that is critical. I would urge all of you, we've just launched early last week, the industrial system portal, in which you can go onto the portal, and we have a few states on it already, and you can click and see where that land is available in that state. And you can click on your plot and go and see it even closer. And it is now being brought to the point where from there itself, you can apply to the state government or wherever that plot is to get those approvals. So again, it will become faceless, and it will all become so fast, and that entire complexity of getting those approvals, and Gaurav said that already the state of Karnataka is doing a lot on that. And the last one which I must mention is how we are now trying to create plug-and-pay models very fast. Why is that happening? As we are seeing these supply chains move very quickly to India and looking at India very actively, there'll be a large number of MSMEs which are looking to move in. They are looking at a plug-and-play facility. And that is where those 3,700 clusters which we have across the country, industrial clusters, we are looking at fast-tracking and upgrading them to start rating them, ranking them, upgrading them to global levels so that there's a very quick plug-and-play facility. And the last, which before I end, I would urge all of you to go and look at the India investment grid. You know, until now, it is like you went to a restaurant, but you didn't have a menu as to what you could order. Now what we've done for the global investor, there are already 10,000 projects on it. It is called the India Investment Grid. You go on to the Invest India website, investindia.gov.in, and from that you can go on to the India Investment Grid. You have 10,000 projects, including the National Infrastructure Pipeline, where any investor sitting anywhere across the globe will get an idea as to what are the investable opportunities which are available in India, and then they can directly connect themselves with those promoters to start working and making that happen. And what has happened in addition to that, in every department of the Government of India, a special project development cell has been set up in every ministry. The project development cell, and Invest India supporting each of them, is headed by a joint secretary of that ministry. And what is happening there, it has two roles. One is to proactively work with investors and to facilitate all investment, which is working with the Invest India team. And the second, more importantly, is proactively create projects which are ready on the shelf with all approvals in them. And they can be readily either bid off to the private sector or in a PPP format or in an all government format. Get ready on the shelf list of these projects and ready with all approvals in them. So there's a SPV with all the approvals. So the promoter which comes in doesn't have to run around to get approvals to make it happen. This will increase the investment capacity and capability in India, our ability to capital, and again, fast track the investment process. There's a lot happening. There's a new India which is right here, which is now being created. And it's a new India which will just take over and be the best, not just for all of us where we are working to make our own manufacturing stronger, but to create the best solutions for everyone across the globe. Thank you, and let me congratulate once again the entire team of Karnataka and you, Mr. Minister, with leading it. You have an excellent team. We've got excellent feedback from global investors, whosoever we send to Karnataka, interacting with your team. Thank you.
Mr. Bagla, thank you for that. And thank you for driving an integrated effort to really make India one of the most attractive destinations globally for FDI and for overall scaling up of manufacturing ecosystem. Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Commissioner Industrial Development, Srimati Gunjan Krishna, to speak now specifically about Karnataka's offering to the construction equipment sector and how the state is hence trying to help various C manufacturers scale up their domestic production. Madam, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Mario. Honorable Minister for Large and Medium Industry, Shri Jagdish Shettar ji, Principal Secretary Gaurav Gupta ji, Mr. Deepak Bagla, Mr. Sandeep Singh, ICEMA President, and all the global construction equipment manufacturers present today in today's webinar. I welcome you all. We all know that Karnataka is a leader when it comes to capital goods and manufactured tools, and construction equipments are a subset. And we know there is a huge potential, as Mario has mentioned earlier. Now, coming specifically to Karnataka, we all know that Karnataka is a land of innovation, entrepreneurship, and growth. We also know that we are number one when it comes to attracting investments. In 2016, we are number one in exports, which includes both merchandise and IT and ITS. We are, of course, number one in innovation index of NITI Aayog, and we have the largest R&D centers. In fact, we contribute around 35% of the global in-house centers. Also, our economy is as large as that of Vietnam, a country which is much talked about and a country which is getting many investments which are flowing from China. We have the third highest FDI among all states in the country. But most importantly, we have the ecosystem, and that ecosystem has made us number one in many areas. So machine tool I talked about, aerospace and defense is another area. If you look at textiles, we are doing very, very well. Biotech, we are number one. So this is the ecosystem approach that the Karnataka offers that makes us numero uno. Now talking about, Anshul, can you move to the next? So I will be in a brief talking about the offerings that we have. And Karnataka, if you look at it, has a strong ecosystem that we have talked for construction equipment manufacturing, with major global and Indian companies having a manufacturing presence here. Now, if you look at L&Ts here, Volvo, Tata Hitachi, Mr. Sandeep Singh, BEML, BHEL, and historically it began long time back. In fact, HMT was set up in Karnataka in 1951, and which is why we have got a strong ecosystem in machine tool and construction equipment both. Now, we are the second highest producer of special purpose and heavy electrical machinery in India, third highest contributing state for heavy engineering in India. 52% of India's total share in machine tool production comes from Karnataka, and we have the first integrated machine tool park, which the Principal Secretary spoke about in Tumkur. Next. Now, coming to the what is the availability when we talk about, if you are looking at the ecosystem that we have around 10,000 acres of industrial developed land available in around existing construction equipment manufacturing clusters in the state. Now, we have one cluster which is there in Hubli Dharwad, where we have Tata Hitachi. We have in Tumkur that I spoke about. In Bangalore, we have a global engineering SEZ. We have around Dabur Spade and the area where Scania, we have Ajax, we have Volvo in the Hosur area near that. We have got many clusters that are present in this space, and around that we have lands available. So if you're looking at these are the major land banks, if anybody is interested, we can have a detailed discussions on this. Like Tumkuru that was spoken about, we have 1,009 acres of land available. Now, coming majorly, our Honorable Minister spoke about the new industrial policy, and the Principal Secretary also spoke about it. The major focus in the new industrial policy has been to bring about structural and the factors of production reforms. And our idea has been to ensure that land, labor, skill, water, all the factors of productions are very easily available. Entrepreneurship, technology are very easily available. So, which is why the reforms had been the main focus in the industrial policy. Having said that, we have also looked at, what makes our industries more efficient, what makes them better to run, and what helps them. So instead of, we have moved away from the tax-based incentive, because with the coming of the GST, what we see is consumption is incentivized, which we need to incentivize. But when you are a producer, you are looking at that production and that is going out of the state, that does not get incentivized. So we have delinked that. So what we have, we are the first states to come out with the turnover-based incentives or production-linked incentives. So that is one first that we have done. And looking at, what are the incentives, that multiple financial incentives announced under the new industrial policy. One is the land investments. There is 100% reimbursement of land conversion fee, 100% reimbursement of stamp duty, and concessional registration charges. We are also looking at, for capital expenditure, 1 to 1.5 million subsidy to anchor industries. We are giving a grant of up to 25% of cost of technology with the ceiling of 1.3 million. We are giving for operating expenditure. So this is the investment promotion subsidy that I was talking about, up to 2.25, and this will be given for 6 to 10 years, depending upon which zone you are located in. And the ceiling would be 40 to 60% of a value of the fixed asset. Additional incentives can also be for marquee projects above 1,000 crore. We are also can give you a special package, and that we can always discuss. So if you look at the net present value of the benefits and we compare the other states, how do we fare as compared to the other states? You look at it, NPV basis, we fare the best. 142 in crore, which comes for Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu at 28, AP at 84, and UP at 124. So this is the policy comparison at present scenario, if we do of the different states, what we offer and what other states offer. Next slide. Now, we know that Karnataka is the knowledge capital of the country. It provides highly skilled and trained labor force. This is one of the very few states in the country, because when Tim Cook he talked about the fact that why China's story is so compelling, because it's provide workmanship with the high tech. And that is exactly true for Karnataka as well. We have very high skilled force, plus we have all the ability and prowess when it comes to manufacturing 4.2, analytics, AI. So we are the first largest workforce at the intersection of advanced manufacturing, which is and the building blocks like AI and IoT. We have 20.1 million people in the age group of 16 to 35, so we are on the positive side of the demographic dividend. Not only we have younger people, we are training them. 18.8 million people, we are planning to skill them by 2030. And we have around 7,000 training institutes in the state, from the advanced training to the advanced colleges, advanced institutes, to the polytechnics, to the ITIs. And what is further is that we have brought about major land labor reforms. If talking about labor, fixed term employment, we have ensured that many more industries can avail that. Say, for example, we are coming out with the toys cluster in Koppal. So they require their business is seasonal. So we have allowed for a fixed term employment for them. Recent amendments made to facilitate women to work at night shifts, longer validity periods and auto renewals for labor licenses, flexibility in employment contracts, overtime limit has been increased, and minimum wages linked to factors such as inflation and consumer price. So these are some of the things that we are working, and also we are working at pruning all the labor acts, the rules that we have. We have sat down, and 30% we found were either duplication, not required in the present times, or the returns, the Factory Act is doing thing, and Labor Act are also duplicating. So that pruning is also going on. We would be able to rationalize it and make very simple, so that you have to file simple returns. You don't have to maintain many registers. So all of this is the work in progress. And which is why Karnataka, if you look at it, we have the least number of industrial disputes. Talking about logistic network, we are the only state to have two industrial corridors, Chennai-Bengaluru Industrial Corridor, and our Honorable Minister talked about that we are looking at developing Bengaluru-Mumbai Economic Corridor with the node at Hubli-Dharwad. So that is something in the offing that we are working at. We are served by 13 major national highway, and one of the things is that we have the very high road density, 300 kilometer coastline, but unfortunately to us that access is not so great. We have Mangaluru at the deepest harbors on the western coast, but we take advantage of other state ports like Chennai, Mumbai, Krishnapatnam. We have 2 international ports, you all know, and 6 domestic ports, and we are a par surplus state. And we are working at with 42% coming from renewables, and one of the top ranked on logistic ease across different states. And there are more things that we can do. We are mapping our ICDs to ensure, which are the places where ICDs do not serve, where we can ensure that we can create more ICDs in the state. Now, talking about ease of doing business, it's a much talked about and recently a little bit controversial also. And we have had a slip, and we are working out many ways to ensure that next time we are at the top. Recently, we have come out with the Facilitation Act amendment, and as per this amendment, if you're looking at new investing in Karnataka, you just have to take one acknowledgement and 11 approvals, the downstream approvals you don't have to worry about. You can start construction without a building plan approval, provided you, of course, adhere to all the norms. And this moratorium remains for 3 years or before you become operational, whichever is earlier. So this is something that we have come out to ensure that the investments are grounded immediately. Also, if you look at performance in reducing business reforms, Karnataka has been leading the way, 96.4% and 90.7%. In fact, this year also we did 100%. But What we need to do is that we are taking these crises, the COVID crisis, to ensure that more and more of these structural reforms can be brought about. Along with that, we are working on a single portal. We do understand that there were some issues, so we are trying to fix that, and we are now reimagining the ease of doing business. Instead of inside out, we are going to look at totally from outside set. What the customers want, what you want, we will design the system accordingly. So that is what we're working in. Not only do we are focusing on ease of doing business, on reforms, what we also focusing on creating social infrastructure and the plug and play system so that it is easier for you to come and invest in Karnataka. So I do understand. Thank you for inviting me, and we will look forward to the interaction.
Thank you, ma'am, for a very detailed presentation. Madam, with your permission, we will also circulate your presentation to all the participants so that they have the details later on, for reference.
Sure.
Great. So with that, we'll now move over to the panel discussion, where we would like to have an interactive session between the ICEMA members and the government representatives. So in addition to the government representatives who you have already heard from, I would like to invite three of the key ICEMA panel members, Mr. Sandeep Singh, President ICEMA, also MD of Tata Hitachi, Mr. Krishnan, Vice President of ICEMA, and MD Volvo CE, and Mr. Arvind Garg, the immediate past President of the ICEMA, and EVP and Head of Construction and Mining Machinery for L&T. Welcome to three of you. What we will also do is, in parallel, if other participants have questions, please feel free to put them into the chat window. And as we go through the discussion, we'll also bring up some of those questions for discussion. So to get started with the panel discussion, maybe first, Mr. Singh, I'll go over to you. You had mentioned in your opening address that the CE industry has seen tough times over the past 1.5 years. In the ICEMA forum as well as other forums and avenues, I'm sure industry stakeholders must be discussing various ways in which the CE industry can bounce back. It would be helpful if you could expand on what your overall vision for the CE sector is, and what do you see as the key role of Government of India as well as Government of Karnataka to help fuel the growth of the sector and also the recovery out of these tough times. Mr. Singh?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mario. First of all, again, I would like to thank all the leaders and government officials from Karnataka. I have worked very closely with them, being a factory located in Karnataka and North Karnataka. I have seen very proactive and very hardworking Department of Industry, taking care of the industry, very cooperative and very supportive. With that in place, we have always been talking about that construction equipment industry. CE industry in construction equipment industry is very strong and resilient, can grow in size and scale. Like we have our plants in Karnataka and other parts of India. We have a capacity because most of the multinational manufacturers have their plants in India, and we have a capacity to support the infrastructure push, which government is talking about and trying to create world-class roads, mining, and developing commercial spaces. And we are very much encouraged with this, and we have been working very closely with the government in achieving this dream. Our products, today we have products which are available in India are of international standard. They can provide maximum productivity, safety, and conform to global standard with regard to safety and emission. So keeping this on one side, and we are very happy to see that the Karnataka government has come out with land reform and industrial policy, ease of doing business. They are very much focused on. At the same time, we see that we need to de-bottleneck many of our infrastructure projects, whether they are with regard to metro, roads, or freight corridors. These are very important projects, and they can really help in improving the economy, and government is very serious about it. But many times we face bottlenecks like clearances, and like in today's time we are facing a huge financial crunch by our contractors, non-availability of migrant labor. So So somewhere or other we see roadblocks while developing infrastructure, and that puts some kind of stress on our business, and where sometimes we have to put pause on our capex and building capacity of our plants. So that is on one part. Number two, we believe that government must put emphasis on increased mechanization of public works and projects, means using advanced technology equipment so that we can improve the productivity and efficiency of the overall work and complete these projects much faster. We have been talking about this with the government at all the forums. The other thing is we need very clear foresight for next 5 to 10 years. What is the infrastructure development plan and how we are going to build on this so that we can plan our capacity, we can plan our capex, and we can also train our manpower accordingly. So that is one part. The second is we are very closely working with our IESC arm to develop the skill level, because to operate these equipment, we need trained operators. So therefore, on one side, there is a shortage of operator, but on the other side, there is acute shortage of trained operators. So we are working very closely with the government, and we have state-of-the-art training facilities, which we would like to use so that we can provide a good training to our operators. Trust on local manufacturing. Today, if we know that in the next 5 years, like we have an IP, if we know that we are going to get allocation of these funds, there's going to be, like we are now talking about Bangalore-Mumbai express highway or a freight corridor between Chennai and Bangalore, and that's going to take another 3 to 5 years. So we can, bring in our technology and localize that technology, which will bring enhanced investment and also generate more employment. So basically what we are talking about, working very closely with the government, but making sure that what government is looking at in developing infrastructure, it is done on time. We have right kind of people and right kind of equipment to finish that. That is what will help in generating more employment, helping our MSME and vendors, so that we cohesively create an environment on one side of industrial and on the other side of completion of projects on time. That is what I would like to urge. We have seen many good things happening in Karnataka, like if you look at our airport in Bangalore or new airports which have come up in Bangalore, they have come up in record time. At the same time, we are looking at some of these projects like metro projects, road construction. If they are following some kind of timeline and the clearances are given faster, it can help us in planning our business much better. That is what I would like to say.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. I think, like you've rightly put it, a good visibility on the sort of government investment and the sort of infrastructure plan over the next 5 to 10 years. Very critical for the sector, apart from, of course, developing skilled labor. Right? Just want to check across our government representatives, anyone has specific thoughts on this or anything to add on to what Mr. Singh said in terms of what the government is doing or planning to do?
So I don't know whether I am audible right now. I have a poor signal. Is it audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be able to say if we have a definite plan with regard to, say, road construction, etc. But we know of several projects that are coming up, and a number of them are time-bound projects. Like, for example, I would like to cite the two examples of a greenfield project of Bangalore-Chennai Expressway on a new alignment which is being taken up, and I'm told that by 31st of March 2021 the work will start. So the tendering is underway and land acquisition is over. Likewise, there are a lot of projects which are relating to road and highway construction, including 4-laning and 6-laning on various stretches, which can be shared if the industry so wants. There has also been construction on in respect of say the railways, which can again be shared, and also on airport construction, which again I think the industry is broadly aware about, but could be further shared. So in respect of mining, there is a lot of issues. Number of mines, for example, are being taken up for auctioning, and they have to become operational. Very recently, one of the largest mines, Donamalai mines in Ballari, the government of India and government of Karnataka have taken a amicable decision to settle the dispute, and that will also start operation very soon. I hope this information which I am giving caters to the need of the industry, and if there is any other pointed query that the industry would have, I would be very happy to support and assist them with any such particular specific inputs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta. So this is one of the questions around what opportunities can we provide for improving the business of construction in Karnataka. Right? So there are further questions in chat which I will pick up in due course in the discussion. So please keep.
One more issue which I can pick up is I have been talking to industry friends about the lack of availability of skilled drivers or operators who can operate the construction equipment. Now on that part again, I would be very happy to support them in terms of training, and we can assign prescribe ITIs, etc., which could take up the kind of training which is required. So again, I would request the industry to tell us where you would like it to be located. Should it be near Bellary or in Dharwad or in Bangalore, and what would be the numbers that you're looking at? Are we looking at
Gaurav, you have gone on mute, so could you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, I repeat the last sentence. So I was talking about that we can support in terms of assigning ITIs for or any other training institutions for specific training of construction operators and for drivers, etc. But for that, we would request the location and the numbers which the industry would like to seek, which I'm sure the industry would have. So I think give and take of this information would help and assist the industry as well as the government.
Thank you. Thank you. In fact, I will request Arvind to comment on this, because who is directly looking into this, a past chairman of ICEMA.
Yeah, sure, Sandeep. I'll cover this. Frankly, first I would like to thank all the leaders of Karnataka government with Mr. Shettar himself being here on having given us a very, very good view of what the government is thinking and bringing about a lot of reforms. A lot has been spoken about Karnataka being the IT and the knowledge hub of the world. But as I think Ms. Gunjan Sharma mentioned, we are also fortunate that some of the leading manufacturers of construction equipment are based out of Karnataka. So whether it is Tata Hitachi, whether it is BEML, Volvo, L&T, Scania, Ajax, a lot of us are here, and we are all looking at scaling up the infrastructure. We are looking forward to scaling up of the projects that are coming up. And I think the Karnataka government has been a forerunner, especially in irrigation projects as well. We've talked about roads and we've talked about other projects, but I think some of the activities undertaken by the Karnataka government in developing the irrigation infrastructure is something that has really been very, very supportive for all of us. And also the mining activities, whether it is for limestone or iron ore, I think they've been extremely supportive. And Mr. Gupta, you mentioned about the skilling. Mention was also made earlier about the target that the government has of skilling almost 18.8 million people over a 5 to 10 year period, and about having more than 7,000 training centers across the state in aiding this entire process. Now, the one submission that I would like to make here is that in India, unfortunately, today, while we all recognize the need for skilled operators, unfortunately, it is not mandated that certified operators use the equipment. It is a little bit of, I would say, a dichotomy that if I were to be operating or, running or riding a two-wheeler, I would need a license, but I could get behind the controls of a very large crawler-mounted equipment, and there would be no requirement of anything other than skilled operator. Our request has always been that we must have certified operators, and I'm very happy to inform you, Mr. Gupta, that the Infrastructure Equipment Skill Council, which I currently head, is actually based out of Bangalore. As a industry, we have realized that the only way we can bring down the life cycle cost of equipment, if we can ensure that the equipment works for much longer duration. And Mr. Singh had made a point about high technology coming into the products coming into the country. If those have to be properly operated and the best, I would say, returns to be taken from those equipment, it will become essential to have very, very highly trained and skilled operators. And I must tell you that in this year, we have a target of skilling almost 40,000 operators as well as mechanics, but it is still a drop in the ocean because at any given point of time, we have more than 7 lakh equipment which is operating across the country. And if you were to look at even 2 operators and 2 mechanics per set of equipment, you would need almost about 30 lakh people who are there. So we have undertaken training of new operators and also the reskilling of the operators who are there. In this pandemic, everybody has been talking about migrant labor, and we have been looking at migrant labor that comes in from states like Orissa and Jharkhand. I would believe that Karnataka, which is at the forefront of the country in many, many, many manners, could also take the lead in developing a huge set of trained manpower, which could then be deployed not within the state, not only within the state, but also exported to other states. And I am looking forward to the day where, in cooperation with the Karnataka government, we could say that the operators and mechanics from Karnataka are the best trained people and the best skilled people. It will help us to ensure that we become number one in this. Not only that, we also provide good job opportunities to our youth who have an ambitious outlook, who are good, and we have the right infrastructure. So I would be very happy to connect with you offline in this respect to see how the Infrastructure Equipment Skill Council promoted by ICEMA could work with the Government of Karnataka and how we could take the lead in not sticking to the status quo, but by redefining the norms, not only for government projects where, see, you are giving so many projects. If you could take the lead to say that we want certified operators. Today we do a test and then these are certified by independent agencies. So if you could take the lead, it would also mean that the others would follow suit and we could set about a revolution in this regard. Secondly, as far as training is concerned, we'll be very happy to work with some of the leading ITIs. You talked about certain specific ITIs. We could look at some of the ITIs. We could partner with you in the entire process of training the trainers, etc., and building a very strong skill ecosystem in the state so that we could become very, very strong.
I would just like to respond. I'm so happy at these inputs, and I think they are immediately something that we all can work on together. And it's also news to me that the equipment construction industry has its sector skill council based in Bangalore. I'm sure that it could be relating to mining industry around Ballari, or it could be others relating to construction equipment and all around Bangalore or nearby areas. Let's work on that. And I think we should not let it go. This opportunity is a splendid opportunity, and we should make the best use of it.
We'll do that, sir. We'll connect with you separately. We will take the help to reach out to you. We will set up a meeting with our CEO and we will take this forward. looking forward to your support.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Next, I'd like to move on to Mr. Krishnan. Ms. Krishnan, and we've been having many discussions on how technology is going to play a critical role in construction equipment going forward. Given how highly sophisticated equipment are, it would be good if you can share, the role that both government and OEMs can play in enabling the domestic technology development ecosystem, and also what sort of R&D facilities could help to really develop a global manufacturing hub in India. Krishnan?
Yes. Yeah, thanks, Mario. I hope you can hear me.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I would like to congratulate Government of Karnataka for all those great achievements that was talked about by the leaders of Karnataka government. And it is really nice to hear that not only is Karnataka a leading industrial state with strong capabilities, but it is also aiding other sister states in the country to lead the way towards industrial development and inclusive growth. I would like to start by saying that from an engineering perspective, most of us in the industry consider Karnataka as a home, right? It is an engineering industry home from very many aspects, and Ms. Gunjan spoke about the great talent pool, the huge engineering talent pool that comes out of engineering colleges in Karnataka, the heritage of public sector, which has been for over 4 or 5 decades. Not only that, Bangalore as a melting pot of culture and technology, attracting talent of the world towards itself. And not only that, many of the policies that you have actually rolled out, which has been attracting R&D center establishment in Karnataka, particularly around Bangalore. I think these are all great aspects of why we call Karnataka as an engineering home for the country. I would like to say that from an engineering, from a construction equipment industry perspective, and for the development of construction equipment industry in India, there are certain asks that are there, and I come straight to it to plan the time properly. And that is that there are certain technology components that we do not have manufacturing in the country. There's a very limited supplier base. And some of these have been identified and have been worked with the Department of Heavy Industries, Government of India. And we have identified certain technologies. I will take, for example, some electronic components like ECUs and air conditioning systems, some hydraulic components, particularly high precision components. These are areas where investments and new investments and investors need to come and set up shop in the country. And Government of Karnataka could take these technology areas and actually really scout and work with us as an association to bring the global supplier base to come to Karnataka and attract further investments to Karnataka. I mean, as you already mentioned in your excellent presentation in Government of Karnataka's presentation about what it has to offer for the steel industry, it is an ecosystem, right? Ecosystem attracts people to come together. And I was thinking in terms of precision technology manufacturers to come to Karnataka. But if I look ahead, what is going to happen in the steel industry is going to be a technology boom. We're going to see lots of new technologies being brought onto the table. In order to gain benefit of those introduction of new technologies, whether it is in the area of highly fuel efficient engines, whether it's in the area of electrification, automation, connectivity, what is critical is a good ability to offer an ecosystem. And I would like to say, I'd like to take an example here of the ARAI in Pune, Automobile Research Institute, which is not only a center for research, but it's also a testing facility. It has got a training facility. It's got R&D activity. It is training students and talents for future. If we could think in Karnataka for establishing something on those lines from a construction equipment industry perspective, you take that as an investment for the future, and not only would it benefit the construction equipment industry, but would also benefit associated industries, whether it is agriculture, whether it is automotive, whether it is some other areas which are somewhat related in technology areas, machine tools, for example. I think something on those lines, which is like a nerve center that attracts people to come together. I think that would be something that, from an industry perspective, that we could probably look at from Government of Karnataka. Mario?
Thank you, Mr. Krishnan. I think very valid points.
Mario, if I can add a little bit on this.
Yes, please.
One point I think we all agree on the points which Mr. Krishnan mentioned, and I would like to just build up on that. So Karnataka and Bangalore has one of the largest of the commercial space addition and also the residential space addition in the country, and I think that may also be a little helpful in that direction. And also one more linkages that we can establish beside the electronics and machine tool linkages is the thrust that we are now giving on farm mechanization and agricultural implements. Now that also is identified as a thrust area in a particular cluster, and I do not know whether there will be linkages. I think industry knows better than us, but I'm sure that something more can emerge out of this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta. I think there are just one or two other questions which have come up in the chat window. So one is regarding the interest, and actually two parts to it. So one is on the leased land that is being offered, whether that will be perpetual or will it be leased forever, and who gets the benefit of the land cost appreciation. So maybe I could call on the Commissioner Industrial Development to answer this question. Madam, if you're there.
Yeah. So it's very simple. Anybody buying land less than 2 acres, it will be on 10 years lease and then sale. Because the entire lease period is 10 years is put only to ensure that the project is implemented. For above 2 acres is a 99 years lease. As far as the cost appreciation, we haven't yet completed 99 years as any. So that is something we need to check and come back to you. But as of now, 99 years lease is there. And it got implemented from, I think, 1997, 10 years back. Any new land you buy from KIDB, the lease period is 99 years.
Thank you for clarifying that, ma'am. There are two other questions on the chat window. I'm not sure if they're directly relevant for this audience. So I'm going to read them out, but we may or may not take responses. One is directed to the Government of Karnataka, whether backhoe loader equipment could be considered as agricultural equipment, since this equipment is contributing to most of the agricultural activities, and it definitely helps most farmers. That's one question that's come in. And secondly, is there likely to be a dry dock in Karnataka? So like I said, not directly relevant for the representatives we have here, but I'm putting those two on the table in case there are views. Otherwise, we can move forward.
So for the dry dock, there is a dry dock in Udupi, the question that is being asked. So that definitely. Regarding this backhoe load equipment, I cannot immediately comment. But as far as the industry policy goes, it does not differentiate because we have a same kind. We do not have a dedicated policy when it comes for construction equipment. From that perspective, if there is an investment and there is a turnover, then they would be eligible for incentives.
Thank you.
From that perspective, we don't differentiate.
Thank you very much for clarifying. So thank you to all the participants. That was a very good interactive discussion. Thank you all for sharing your views or responding to questions. What we will do now is, given that we are already slightly behind time, we conclude. I'd like to call upon Mr. Krishnan, Vice President ICEMA, to propose a vote of thanks and thank all the participants. Mr. Krishnan.
Thanks, Mario. So first and foremost, a very big thank you to Government of Karnataka for working with BCG and ICEMA to organize this webinar. It is really good to have this kind of interaction, and it is something that ICEMA as an association has been trying to engage at the state government level, and I think this is one such major event for us, and we are really happy that we have been able to have it. So let me propose a vote of thanks to the leaders from the Government of Karnataka, starting from the Honorable Minister Jagdish Shettarji. Thanks for your articulating Karnataka's vision for the industrial and economic growth of this state. Not only that, to all your political leadership for giving the support to not just for Karnataka but also growth of the rest of the other states where you are supporting there and giving partnership. Thank you, Mr. Gupta, Gaurav Gupta ji, for your good speech on and pitch on the Karnataka's Karnataka government's focus on the growth of the industry. Thanks, ma'am Gunjan, for excellent presentation. It feels like a corporate presentation listening to Government of Karnataka. Really great to see the fantastic pitch in terms of how and why we should invest. Mr. Deepa Bagla, it's always great to hear you. You paint a very visionary picture and where the country is going, and it's great to see today that India has now reached the 63rd rank from where we were way down in the ranks a few years ago. And clearly, Invest India's approach and the partnership with the states is really taking us to a great direction industrially and also globally in terms of our position in the world leading stage. So then I would like to thank the ICEMA office bearers, Sandeep Singh ji, Arvind, for your thoughts and sharing your thoughts on what we could partner with Government of Karnataka to develop our business. Thanks to the BCG team led by Mario. Thanks for organizing and putting this together, and also to the ICEMA team that has been behind in promoting and to have a good participation. And finally, thank you all the participants for joining us and listening to us. And I'm sure this will lead to further activities that will engage the Government of Karnataka and the construction equipment industry in the days to come, whether it's in the area of business growth, industrial growth, as well as skill development. And thanks. With that, I would like to close. Mario, over to you again.
Thank you, Mr. So with that, we'll conclude today's session. Thank you, everyone, for very fruitful interaction, and look forward to many more of these in times to come. So we'll conclude with this. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a good day.